Another taste everybody should experience in Albuquerque comes from a native pine cone. It's a local obsession, and the local candy makers are on board too. Albuquerque, New Mexico sits on the edge of the Chihuahuan Desert and has one of the highest elevations of any major U.S. city. The high altitude and warm climate are the perfect growing conditions for the piñon pine. The New Mexico state tree is one of only a few true pines that produce edible nuts, and they make the perfect coating for an only in Albuquerque candy, the piñon nut roll. A gooey, cream-based candy roll dipped in hot caramel and rolled in piñon nuts.
You can't find them anyplace else. You have to try one, or 20.
The fall harvest of piñon nut was ideal for Native Americans in the region who depended on this high-calorie sweet nut for winter protein. The nuts aren't produced commercially, and it takes 7 years for a tree to produce cones with nuts. They're so important to New Mexico's culture, the name piñon nut is protected by state law.
This is gold right here. This is what makes things so special.
Special enough to help launch a family business, too. The iconic candy cane deck Buffett's Candies factory sits in Fair Heights, a growing area just a few miles east of the University of New Mexico campus. Patty Buffett's father started the business, and in 2002, she left a career in banking to help run it.
My father started the business in 1956 from nothing. He wanted to go into business for himself. His mother suggested candy making because all you need is a pot and a stove, and Buffett's Candies was born.
She makes it sound so simple, but making piñon nut rolls is a painstaking process. The confection starts in an old giant copper burner. That's where they mix the cream center, starting with a heavy dose of glucose.
The glucose helps prevent the white sugar from returning to its natural form, which are the grains. Nobody, when they bite into a caramel, wants to taste grains, so it helps keep it creamy.
Sugar, brown sugar, heavy whipping cream, and water are added. Fully blending and heating this mixture is strenuous, constant stirring with a giant paddle is necessary, all to keep the ingredients from burning. It needs to reach around 230 degrees before it's finished.
It's gonna boil up, and then the whole level in the pot will decrease because a lot of the moisture is boiling out.
The cream center base goes into the chilled bowl of a cream beater next. This machine beats and cools it at the same time. Once it holds a fingerprint,
you have to be able to touch it, feel it, and make sure that it's right.
They add the final ingredient, vanilla.
So just a little bit of vanilla, it helps enhance and bring out the flavor of the brown sugar.
An industrial mixer is the final stop. With the help of a bit of sucrase, an enzyme that breaks down sugars, it'll be creamy enough to shape. Powdered sugar helps prevent sticking while it gets rolled out and scored. The centers are individually formed, then they're frozen overnight. The cold cream center is dunked in Buffett's homemade caramel sauce.
These forks are specially made. My father figured out that if you take a couple of the prongs out of the fork, the caramel will drip through easier.
Then the brown sugar cream and caramel duo is covered in piñon nuts.
And there you have it, Buffett's Piñon Rolls, ready to go.
The caramel is just so light and delicate, it melts in your mouth immediately, and wrapping it in the piñon is just amazing.
A piñon nut's flavor, sometimes they're a little bit sweet, but you can taste the pine of the piñon tree. And that's why it complements the sweetness inside of the piñon nut roll so well.
When you bite into that piñon roll, everything just kind of melts together in your mouth. The piñon rolls are pretty special.